I kind of believe in the reincarnation belief, so I think that maybe once we pass on, we're kind of in this purgatory state, and then maybe we come back as someone else.
Hello, welcome to the Atheist Vanguard. I'm Shane Isgrig.
I'm Rachel Watson.
And I'm Jim Barrows.
All right, let's go ahead and get right to the front lines with our clip.
Welcome to the Atheist Vanguard. My name is Ben Esteville, and today
We have
Lauren Callahan.
Lauren. Thank you for agreeing to do an interview. And today, it's October, sometime in October, and Halloween is a traditional, classic holiday we celebrate here in the States. It's full of spooky, good fun, but it's based on the supernatural. Do you have any supernatural beliefs?
I personally don't. I do think that there maybe exist spirits and some higher beings around us that we don't know about or can't control, but I don't necessarily think that they're really affecting kind of our everyday lives or the living here currently.
You don't think they're interacting with us in certain various ways, like moving stuff, poltergeisting?
No,
possessing?
It's called physics, and things happen, and
You believe in physics?
I do.
Have you ever been proven wrong about physics?
Not personally, I can't say so.
Gravity just always seems to work?
Yeah, it seems to, yeah.
I think so. That's been my experience. So you said there could be spirits on another, maybe a higher plane, a lower plane, a middle plane, another dimension. Where do you think these spirits are just chilling?
I think I kind of believe in the reincarnation belief, so I think that maybe once we pass on, we're kind of in this purgatory state, and then maybe we come back as someone else. But I don't know, it's a weird thing to think about, as things possibly being out there, but I wouldn't say definitively I think that things exist, but I think there's some spirits and souls maybe flying around.
You said flying around, okay?
And not the literal sense, in the sense that they're existing somewhere, not affecting us, but in their own state.
Are you sure they're not affecting us? Because there have been some people I've spoken to, and they are of firm belief in the Bible, and they're saying they're demons, they're unclean spirits, and they're possessing people. They need to be exorcised and cast out, in Jesus' name, of course. So do you believe that is a possibility?
No, again, I don't think that they're affecting us in any way. Definitely don't think that they're possessing people. A lot of possession cases and those things have so much evidence against them, and in regards to mental disorders and that kind of thing. And that is
telling me science figured out some stuff.
Believe it or not, science has some answers. Yeah.
I think so. I think science does have a lot of answers. So you think that once we die, there's something that lives on, maybe living on to live again in this world. Do you have any concept of where that spirit is going to go in between? Is there an in between? Is it instantaneous? Does once you die, the spirit jumps into a fetus? Like, is there a waiting line? Is there a queue? Is there an emission?
I don't think it necessarily goes into another person. I think it can go into any organism on the earth.
Do you think karma plays a part in it? I know in some other faith traditions, the more your karma is a beneficial karma, you've interacted with the world and you're doing good stuff, that allows you to go on to the next world in a higher form, perhaps. Maybe you'll be a griffin. I don't know. I
don't think karma has anything to do with it. I think every being serves a purpose, and maybe you're coming back to serve that purpose. I don't think karma has anything to do with it. It could affect your life currently on like doing some bad things. It'll bite you later, but
okay.
I don't think it's going to affect your after your life.
Yeah, there might be some obvious cause and effect. Mm-hmm. If you're a pretty trash human being. And people catch on to the fact that you're not really worth talking to or interacting with. Yeah, it's going to interact in your life, but you're saying your negative interaction on people and your grading personality and idiocy maybe doesn't transfer over to the next life.
I think it could be a fresh start for people.
Yeah, fresh start. Now that's a cheery perspective. I like that.
I'll try.
Awesome. I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
No, if you like to celebrate Halloween, celebrate it, dress up, do whatever. Just have fun in your own way.
No razors in the apples.
Let's not do that.
Let's not
no.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay, watch out. Go easy on the chocolate, kids. Go easy. Don't hurt yourself.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
You have a great day and a
You
happy
too.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
About there. So let me begin by raising one thing and ask both of you what your take on it is. She begun by saying that she didn't believe in anything supernatural, then went on to say that she believes in spirits and
Higher beings.
basically something that was completely compatible with my definition of the supernatural. So is there anything I might be missing or what?
Well, I think, we have to remember that these people are walking up on our interviewer, in this case, Ben, without any real preconceived notions, and they're trying to put together in their heads what we're looking for, maybe.
Right.
And she may have gone, well, I don't believe anything supernatural. Oh, wait, they're asking me, and this is a show, so maybe they want me to say this.
Okay, she could have had a second thought about that.
Right.
Right.
Because my first thought was that maybe she doesn't understand what people usually mean when they say supernatural.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's why it's really important to make sure you define your terms.
Yeah,
at the
I
beginning of a
usually
conversation like this.
Yeah, usually in my interviews, I try to get them to interview one or two of the words that comes out of the first thing that they say. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what do we mean when we say supernatural?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Right.
This one was kind of fun because she does do that, and you're right. You're definitely right. People are coming up, and maybe she doesn't really hold she doesn't subscribe to supernatural kind of stuff, but then she believes in this soul concept and things.
Well,
so
also,
it's
it could be the fact that so she does end up saying maybe.
Right.
Right.
So she says there maybe exist spirits and some higher beings around us that we don't know about or can't control.
Right.
So she says she doesn't think they can interfere with our lives in any way that we can measure. She does seem to be an advocate for science, which I appreciate.
yeah, absolutely.
I
My
think she's
initial
one
note.
good conversation with a good skeptic away from being.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
This
to.
is somebody who have a few more conversations with a few skeptics.
Well, this is-
because she's almost there.
Right.
So-
This is kind of that loose thinking, that undefined term, supernatural, spirits flying around. And then when you
Yeah.
press it, it's like, oh, wait, not exactly like that.
But then when we get into souls or we get into spirits or ghosts, and people say, I think they exist and they're around us, but they don't, we can't see them, we can't test them, we can't measure
Right.
them.
Right.
And I
How
try
can
to
we
go,
know
well,
them?
what's the difference between something that's invisible and non-physical, non-measurable versus something that's imaginary?
Yeah.
How do I tell the difference? Because they seem like the same thing.
Same
Right.
thing, yeah.
And that gets back to, okay, so you want to talk about souls, what exactly is a soul? Apparently to her, it is not the personality, because a human soul in that case would not necessarily go too well in, say, an ant.
Right. I was going to say, she said you can come back as anything. And if we have
Yeah.
personalities that are inhabited in our souls, I'm going to be a potato and have a personality. I don't know.
But even with the soul concept of going from human to human to human, you have a problem that we know that if you take specific amounts of brain damage, that your personality will change by
Right.
every definition of personality.
I have
Sure.
I begun having a hard time with the concept of a soul when I learned about what amnesia was. Because I thought your memories existed in your soul. That was a part of your consciousness, right? When I found out at 9, 10 years old, that something physical could happen to your brain that would cause you to not have memories and therefore impact who you are.
Right.
That makes me think okay, how do I rationalize a soul? Because then you have to say, say you have a stroke or something, you have a personality change.
Exactly.
I have to try to rationalize, okay, the personality that you had before that still exists in the brain and is going to be the same personality after you die?
Right.
How do we
Right.
figure that out?
Yeah, and then how do you take someone who has a brain tumor that causes them to go from, a normal person, whatever definition you care to use for normal, to a serial killer?
Right.
We know
Right.
that has happened.
That has.
We take the tumor out, and all of a sudden the person is back to normal. So how is that sin transferred on a soul when, I mean, how do these things,
Speaking of
work?
the transferring of a sin and all of the, something happening to the brain, there is a question, and I know we have Christian viewers, so please comment and give me your answer. I really hope that I get that for this. So let's just say that you, as a Christian, get amnesia and forget what Christianity is, therefore die not believing in Christianity. Are you saved because before you got amnesia, you believed? Or since you died not having the belief, do you go to hell?
That's an interesting
Please let me know. Write down.
And to continue a thought experiment, let's say that you have amnesia and you fall prey to, say,
Satan.
a satanic cult,
Yeah.
right?
Interesting, yeah.
Are you still saved? What happens to your soul?
Well,
Because all of a sudden you're now, somebody completely
I'm
different.
not going to be surprised if we get different answers.
well, that's the thing. If you ask different people, different beliefs, 'cause you're going to
Different-
get the
yeah.
once saved, always saved,
Right.
and then you're going to get the people that are like, oh, once you forget,
Right.
then you're
Well,
gone forever.
The Bible also mentions there's only 144,000 people being saved. So I guess if you're not on the list, you're, out of luck.
which
But-
is the whole determinism
Right.
thing. Is
Right. So all these things, I think, when you start talking about souls, become questions. Other people have raised good points about what about twins? When does a soul become
Exactly.
right? Because the twinning doesn't have to happen right at the beginning. It can happen. I think, if I remember correctly, at multiple points up to a certain point. But so where does the soul come from for a twin?
And is it split in the two, and then you get people that are
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about people whose twins are, I forget what the term is, but you can tell that they have two different sets of DNA in the same person. And I forget what there's a term for it, but
Yeah,
we
I'm
know
not
that
sure.
happens.
Right.
Are there two souls involved there? Is there one soul involved
Yeah.
there? Those kinds of
Yeah,
things.
that's a good question. And then, the same concept, if somebody has, a not like split brain, but has kind of multiple personalities, are they just infected with souls? Like, do they have
Right.
13 of them?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. And in that case, with multiple personalities, with multiple distinct personalities, there's some evidence, if I remember correctly, that's linked to severe sexual trauma. And so how does that work?
then can you lose your soul and your brain still be alive? Can your soul move on with a brain still being conscious? Or do they think that the soul is a physical energy that exists within the brain?
Right.
Because that could be a rationalization for gingers.
This is true.
Gingers don't have souls.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Gingers are the best humans ever, so they do have souls if there is a soul, which I don't believe in.
Right. I don't believe in souls, and that's
Right.
which leads me to conclude that gingers don't have souls. Now,
That is
what if you do believe in
I'm
souls?
ginger, I guess.
You could rationalize that when the person loses the soul, they then become a ginger. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, so we know that we can kill somebody legally dead for a certain amount of time before they're really dead, because death is a
Right.
process, not an end goal.
Not
But
yeah.
you can't legally do that to somebody.
Well,
Jim.
I mean,
Right.
You can do it, but it's
Take
not
the legally
legal.
part out.
Medically.
and-
Don't anybody listen to
Medically.
Jim about that being
Yeah,
legal.
no.
We're
I
not
misspoke.
advocating
Jim is
violence
wrong.
here.
Yeah, I misspoke.
I had to fact check you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I misspoke. Medically
Oh,
dead.
yeah, absolutely.
Almost
Know what you meant.
misinformed.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay.
Medically dead. And then come back to life if you keep the body cold enough and you do it before brain damage sets in, and et cetera, et cetera. There's some complicated things, but at what point during the death process does the soul leave the body?
Well,
And
maybe
can you fake it out?
Well, what if the soul comes back? Like, what if the soul leaves, right? Like, you die, and you're like, okay, you're in this peaceful, there's choir, lights, all of that. And then you're back in this body that's in pain here. Clear,
Yep.
clear.
Right.
Okay.
Buffy the
fuck,
Vampire
like,
Slayer.
yeah.
That literally happened to Buffy on Buffy the Vampire
Yeah.
Slayer.
Yeah, so
she
I-
was in heaven and got brought back by magic, and
Right.
Well, like, yeah. I don't know. What did your soul? Were you just in heaven for a short period? I mean, some people say yes and get into those near-death experiences, which brings us back into our DMT conversations, which we've had enough about. But yeah,
it's always DMT.
always DMT.
To put my Christian hat back on, like, it's hard for me to think back like that, but kind of how I believed was a soul was this kind of, sloppy thinking, supernatural force that literally was what animated you, what drove you. It was your personality. It was, your thoughts, your process, everything. And like, if I were to have been in like a coma, I don't know. I didn't think about it like that. It was just
like what's
it was
my
the driving
soul
force.
doing when I'm in a coma?
And you can't. In my belief system, I couldn't have believed in like going to heaven and not believed in a soul, because the soul is what goes to heaven.
Right.
But then you have to come up with this in reincarnation. It's what if my past life I was a, straight woman, and today I'm, then I transition into a man in a different life, and then this one I'm born into a male body, but I identify as a girl. It's not a good concept. Souls just do not work.
Yeah.
I don't.
And if the soul doesn't remember what it did in a previous life, then what does it really learn?
Well, you know about it in a baby form, but then you forget about it. Apparently.
Okay.
I've heard that before.
Right. The soul would have to reintegrate its memories every time it died in between to learn whatever lesson it's going to learn.
What if in the process of being dead, like before you reincarnate, you have all of your memories from all of your lives, and then you're only in that state for a few minutes, and then you're a cockroach again?
Yeah,
you just do
those
cockroach
are
stuff.
really, really good questions about.
Well, then I like that Ben asked if like she thinks
karma
karma
played into
played
it.
a role in it, and she said she doesn't think so, which is different from religious karma beliefs, because you know that Hindus kind of have this thing where if you're a bad person in this life, like, you'll come back as a cockroach in the next
Or
kind of
something.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Not
I kind of
desirable.
always bring up this point of like, they weren't really thinking that punishment through all the way.
Right.
Because like a dung beetle isn't thinking, oh no, I have to live in shit. Like, this is my life. Like, no, a dung beetle sees shit and is like, yes, I live for this.
My life.
Yeah. A cockroach doesn't mind that it's a cockroach. And what's interesting about, and I shouldn't tie too much into karma, but
Right.
one thing I'll say about it, though, is with Hinduism, you can get reincarnated as a cow, is like the holiest
Sacred,
one, right?
yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't want to come back as a cow.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't want to be hamburger.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to be a cow. Dude, if you see, like, you're going to be in a factory farm, you're like, oh my God, I followed Hinduism for nothing.
Right. The worst would be like in kosher.
But she didn't believe
halal.
that, so we don't have to address that. So
Yeah.
you could be any kind of person, and there's no punishment or reward, which is, I mean, honestly,
To the person that would make a difference.
Right.
Right.
Well, she does say that in here, that you don't take your bad stuff after you die.
she
essentially.
raises a good point, though, because even if you believe in an afterlife, like let's say I could grant people the existence of a life after this one. What's my justification for thinking it has anything to do with reward and punishment?
Right.
Because the only explanation I could come up with is somebody has a motive in telling you that.
Right.
Now, what motive is there to think that if there's an afterlife, there's a punishment or reward?
It depends on the religion.
We
'cause
want to think
you
that.
get that heaven and hell is the,
yeah.
don't be a bad person in this life or you're going to be punished forever and ever and ever.
Well, also,
Yeah.
it's kind of like we talked about in our karma episode, how you just get comfort in knowing like they'll get their karma.
Exactly,
Same
yeah.
thing with the God concept, where somebody's like, all right, you know what?
God
He's
will
gonna
be-
have to meet his maker. Like,
right, exactly.
God will be confronting him. So I don't have to say
The ultimate
He'll take
passive
care of it.
aggressive.
So
the
Right.
ultimate
Turn the other
passive
cheek.
aggressive.
there
yeah.
you go. Yeah,
Yeah, because someone else will take care of it for me. I don't have to take care of it.
exactly.
One of the things, my dad had went to Saudi Arabia just before he was already retired, but just before the first Gulf War. And he said one of the weird things about living there was you'd see really expensive BMWs and Mercedes cars left. Because they would drive them, run them out of gas, and just go, inshallah, God wills it, and then walk, and then go buy another car. Because God
I
willed
would like
them
the
to.
funds to be able to do that.
Wouldn't it be nice? But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Where's this happening?
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, God willed it that you would run out of gas at this point. So you're just going to go walk.
How would you determine if God didn't will you? What if He wanted you to walk to get gas?
For a
and then
second,
come
my
back and
thought was,
revive your
where's
car?
this happening? Somewhere in Alabama? Because
No.
I'll go get myself a car.
Right?
And now I'm like, oh, Saudi Arabia,
Yeah, I'm not going to
I'm going to
Saudi
stay
Arabia.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I'd rather
I'm gonna
drive
pass.
a beater or
I'm
ride
gonna
a,
pass on
no thanks.
visiting.
Yeah, that's
So-
a no
yeah,
for me.
it's a hot desert, and you guys are from Austin, so you don't really know what heat is. So
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
from Austin.
super hot over there. I did live in Arizona for a while. I will not claim that it got as hot as the Middle East.
I'm from Southern
I
California.
did play Little
It's
League baseball in 118
hot there.
degree.
yeah,
Keep in mind,
That's
Jim,
pretty warm.
To me, 60 degrees is like cold.
Oh
So-
my God.
But before
below
you,
80 is cold.
okay, so
Below 80 is cold?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. 30 is not even cold. Like, if it gets down to 30, it needs to get far. That's sweater
Yeah,
weather
we're
to
way
me.
off topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, of
But
course.
yeah, so the whole passive aggressive God wills it, leave it in the hands of God stuff is really just the ultimate cop out for being
Right.
completely not caring about anything that happens in your life.
Yeah.
And
Well, then if you really, really, really believe that, do we need a court system?
right,
Like if he's just going to live and, as let's say a rapist or a murderer or whatever, if they're only going to live for 70 years, it's like, would you just turn the other cheek? And no, they want him to go through the court system, get locked up, put on death row, of course,
right, yeah,
that kind of thing. It's an interesting, I could see how karma plays into the reincarnation thing, but
can
she doesn't go there
Yeah,
with it.
she doesn't go there with it. So
Right. But
yeah.
they do go into purgatory, which is another interesting. Purgatory is an interesting belief too.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
right.
I lacked the understanding that purgatory was like a negative thing for a while during my life.
Well, it's only
And-
negative because it's not heaven,
It's not heaven.
but it's
Yeah.
also not hell.
It's not.
Right. So I was kind of like, all right, so you're bored.
Right.
Like it just sounds like a boring
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. It's
Which-
like the Q system.
Then that
before
makes
you
me
get
wonder,
judged.
like, why would that happen? Because is God on a schedule? Like, clearly you can move me forward.
Yeah.
But purgatory, the idea, it's another one of those things where I don't see how you get there at all. Like, what examples of purgatory do we have?
Right.
Because at least with the afterlife, we have people who've had near-death experiences that they claim were the afterlife. Purgatory, what did you experience that made you think that that existed? What did you hear that made you think that that even existed?
Well, it's a concept you hear in Catholicism a bit. I don't know about other religions.
Well, just so
They've
you,
recently denounced it.
yeah,
Yeah.
just so you know,
Took it
they
away,
changed their mind. I love how the Catholic Church works. The Pope could go, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
not true," and they go, "Not true."
Not everybody though.
yeah,
Not everybody.
Right.
They'll still believe it because they were in that system for so long. They're just
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I can't not believe it. But it's just a
right. Yeah,
conflicting
the
belief,
whole
I think.
Pope sitting on the throne of Peter thing is highly entertaining. And the way that the Catholic Church explains papal infallibility. But
True.
yeah, that's where it came from. And it was never really dogma. It was just something, I think, to placate the masses. If you weren't quite good enough to go to heaven, but weren't quite good enough to go to hell, you'd go to purgatory where you'd be punished a little bit and then you would eventually go to heaven. So it was a stopping way on the way to that.
How that provides people that middle ground. I mean, because you always have to think like,
I'm
do
not
I
sure if it's
either
people.
deserve eternal happiness or eternal punishment? Like, there's got to be some in between there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
For venial
So-
sins. If you didn't have a mortal sin, but you just had venial sins, you had to pay for the venial sins. And that gets into the,
See, I always, when I was stepping out of Christianity, I mean, I was not in the Catholic faith at all, but how I looked at it after I kind of started stepping away and losing my faith and belief and everything was, it was kind of you're not a horrible person, so don't leave the church. Stay here. You're going to go to purgatory and you can work to heaven. Just keep tithing. It's
Right.
kind of, we don't want you to leave the church. We want you to stay and
well, they
get
want
the
your time.
coffers
They want your
added.
money. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. Do you think that maybe she was raised with some religious beliefs that influence some of the beliefs that she now has?
Or something, or a cultural spiritualistic belief. I've got a lot of friends
Right.
that do that. Typically a younger crowd, but even people that are in middle age, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual." It's like,
And-
I like
right.
the whole idea of crystals and spirits and ghosts and.
But you
movies and
usually
stuff.
start realizing with the spiritual but not religious crowd that the God that they believe in has a lot in common with the God that they were raised to believe in.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I mean with
But there's
this.
still one step closer to.
They're definitely a few steps closer to
Yeah.
the truth, but
Yeah, I was thinking that she, like you said, one good conversation away from like, if it's out there and I can't see it, can't measure it, it doesn't affect us, why am I believing it?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I couldn't just believe in a ghost if I was like, hey, I can't see it, can't touch it, can't feel it, can't measure it, it doesn't
Right.
affect me at all. You know,
That's one of the reasons we have these conversations. I
course.
mean, it's the Socratic method. Just ask people questions and get them to lead themselves to the answers.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I kind of wanted to know is if what are they doing? If they're not interfering with our lives, what are these spirits doing?
Yeah.
And do they see the world the same way we do?
Yeah.
I've always tried to rationalize it because it's like some people are like, you know, a ghost could walk through walls, but then it could knock something over. I'm like,
Right.
okay, does it control when it physically exists? Because
Right.
then it wouldn't be able to go through the wall then.
Right.
Does it like, you know what I mean? Do you just have absolute control of like when it doesn't make sense to me.
And why, if you go to a haunted like hotel or something, and it's like, why would the spirit be mad at me? I'm just renting a room.
I'm
here.
just here.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like I
And
didn't kill you in
another thing is,
1742 or whatever.
I've seen people talk about this on Facebook where it's like, you ever notice that ghosts are always from like the 1700s, 1800s?
Right.
You never get a ghost that died in the early 2000s and is like, leave Britney alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. But I always think about like just the amount of people that were like pranksters that have died. Like, dude, things would be getting knocked over left and right
Yeah.
if they could interfere with us.
Right.
But she doesn't think they interfere, which raises the question, what are they doing? And do they see like this room the same way you and I see this room? Or are they on this same planet somehow, but to them there's a different table here or something?
Maybe they're in the fourth dimension looking at.
Now,
us.
are
I
you
don't know.
stuck, if you die and you're stuck in a house, are you stuck with whatever furniture the next family brings in?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something.
Well,
Like,
then again, if you're a ghost, you could just pick whichever house has nice furniture and stay
well, it
there.
depends on who you ask. Some people are like they're tied
Depends.
to this place because of.
But her
an
belief
event
of
or
ghosts
something.
was one where they don't interfere with the natural world, right?
Right,
So how
right.
does
No,
that
this
make
is a.
But if you
different topic,
still
yeah.
see the natural world, then yeah, you could just go to the place with nice furniture. I mean, okay, there's more than furniture. There's like views, houses.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is if you're a ghost, you should be the biggest tourist ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I had a choice, yeah.
It's every house is an Airbnb for you.
Dude,
Yeah, and the moon would be kind of a cool place to head off to and maybe go see the sun or the sun just for.
If you can
Would
fly.
I was going to say, how long would it take you to get to the? I mean,
Well,
I guess
don't-
if you have all the
How
time
long
in
would
the
it take you
world,
to get to Hawaii?
I mean,
less time than
That's
going to the
weird.
center of the sun.
Well,
then that gets into, she kind of said like these beings fly around, but then she kind of said like
That's
not
that
literally.
loose thinking, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. You start wondering some of these physical. How fast can I go?
Right.
If I'm a ghost, do I have to get on a plane to Hawaii because it's easier to get through security when you're a ghost? You know, get
One
on
would
a plane.
assume.
One would assume. You're right.
What if you go corporeal and TSA has to grab your junk?
Yeah.
as a ghost, that would be
Terrifying. Like if a transgender ghost was going through TSA, I'm afraid of TSA. Like I do not want to go flying because I don't want to deal with that crap.
yeah.
Some horror stories I've heard from that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And the ultimate question is how would you prove it?
That's the
You know, the ultimate question we have to ask is how would you go about proving that there is any type of ghost, whether they or spirit that interferes with us or not?
And I don't think she thinks it can be proven, which just leads us to then what
Why
got
believe?
you here?
Right.
Yeah.
Where did these
Pop
souls
culture.
and spirits come from?
Right. Pop culture and it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
too
I
many
mean, it's
episodes of-
fun for sure. I went to Gettysburg and did, a couple of haunted house tours, and it's fun to I felt myself, even when I was an atheist, I felt myself kind of getting into it.
Right.
And then I had to catch myself and be like, okay, so I was testing the dowsing rods or whatever, where you hold them and they move
Right.
on their own. And I was
I
trying to
plan-
do the ideomotor effect where I'm
Right.
like thinking, move, move, move. And then other times I'm like intently focused on not moving them. And
In the
don't know
next
if it
year,
correlated or
I
anything.
plan on going to some like abandoned hospitals, abandoned asylums, abandoned houses that people think are haunted, and just going there and seeing what kind of things would lead me to believe would lead me to believe that I saw a ghost if I believe in
Right.
ghosts. Because you can go there and go, oh, creaky floorboard. That would make me think of a ghost. Like you
Well-
can kind of figure out,
Well, that's
Right.
that evolutionary aspect we have of we're descendants of people that have, jumped when the bush rustled or whatever.
Yeah.
instead of
Right, and we
inspecting
have
it.
to, because it's better to run away from something that isn't there,
Right.
and not get eaten,
And not
than,
get eaten.
than
And then
not
pass
run
on
away.
your genes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, no, the abandoned stuff, like, I would love to do that. The only, like, in these 2 haunted houses that I went to, supposed haunted houses, I went down to the basement, and the only thing I was scared about, like literally scared about, I was like, what if I run into like a homeless person squatting
Exactly.
in an
That's
abandoned
the
house?
only thing that scares me is if you go to an abandoned place, someone could go, dude, I made this my home. And you're like, okay, well, I didn't know that. I did what
Right.
you did, just not
Right.
as long. I'm just
Right.
here temporarily.
Yeah.
I'm on tour. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, a homeless person could potentially
Yeah, I mean,
get mad at you if you're exploring an abandoned place, which would make exploring it scary in that sense.
yeah,
Right.
That's what scares me about like abandoned hospitals and and then
Yeah.
tripping and then like cutting yourself on some rusty old
Yeah.
bloody.
Right.
And
or,
it- but-
having a floor fall out from under.
Whenever
you.
I
Yes,
watch
would-
YouTube videos where guys are, exploring abandoned places, I'm always thinking like, I wonder how many times 2 YouTubers have been exploring a place and bumped into each other and both just briefly saw a person and turned around and ran away.
Right.
And it's like,
Scared
you
the
could probably
crap out of
find
each
another
other.
video of the same encounter.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be
That'd be
kind of
fun.
entertaining. But
So, okay. I think that we've covered most of what this interview provided
I
us
think
with.
so.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
no.
All right, you?
No, I don't have anything else really.
All right.
What's going on in your guys' life this time?
Well,
Anything going on?
to get to the end, I think something I'm going through. Personally, I cannot find any decent hot wings around me. Everywhere that I go, like the wings are not nearly spicy enough. The only place nearby me with spicy wings doesn't have very good wings.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like, we're gonna have some good spicy wings.
you get the good spice, but the bad quality wings.
Oh yeah, anyone who lives in Austin, comment like some good
Any
wing
comments
places.
about good wings?
Anyway, that's my thing.
Anything for you?
Yeah. Let's see. What do I've got going on? I need help with that I haven't already asked about. Yeah. On long trips, my hips and my knees just start aching
yeah.
really, really bad, and they didn't used to. So obviously, I'm getting old. So some help with that would be good.
Yeah. One thing I'm struggling with is issues at work. And one of them is that I did a standing job before and now I'm sitting 8-9 hours a day.
Right.
And you will stand up and it's like, oh. But yeah, from what I've heard from believers though, is in their time of troubles, they just turn to the good book. The
All
Holy
right,
Book.
and what is that book
And
called?
That's the family Bible, the Holy Bible.
Oh, the
The
Bible.
Bible.
I think
so
I've
we're
heard
just
of
gonna
that
open
before.
it and pick a random and see what it does. See if it
All
helps
right,
us.
see what the Lord can do for us.
Let's go here. I'll pick it. All right. So this is shoot, I can't tell. Song of Solomon 2.
Almost in
chapter
Isaiah.
6.
4. Oh, where are all those things?
We're over here.
Yeah.
So chapter 6, verse 9. My dove, my undefiled, is but one. She is the only one of her mother. She is the choice one of her that bare her. The daughters saw her and blessed her. Yea, the queens and the concubines, and they, this is hard to read actually, and they praised her.
Okay.
So my dove, my undefiled, is but one. She is the only one of her mother. She is the choice one of that bare her.
Maybe
King James Version people. Oh my God.
maybe I need to stop eating chicken wings and start eating dove wings. And they'll be
Hey.
spicier.
You could.
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, and this isn't working for me either. I
So,
don't think this helped us this time, except for you
either-
getting dove.
Either you guys are useless or this book is useless.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Song of Solomon is useless.
True.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
All
I
right.
mean, there's some really racy parts of the Song of Solomon.
Hey,
All right. Well,
should've
thank
turned
you
to that.
both so much for this discussion. Thank you, Ben, for the interview. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have the time, please go down, click like, click subscribe. If you want to be even cooler than that, join our Patreon page. That'd be awesome. No requirements there. Thank you so much for joining us. See you guys next time.
Bye bye.